Superheroes speak a comic book dream, where legends are born and stories redeem. With Day John and Dark Dawn, who will we cast? A podcast that's here to make the past last.
Like I was saying, don't buy the 5090 because it's really a bunch of AI gibberish that you're getting for all those extra frames that they say you're getting over the 4090.
What?
Okay.
Welcome to Superhero Speak. I'm your host, Dave.
And John.
And Don.
Or is this Nerd Tech Talk? I don't know. We'll have to decide.
Well, they're
Either
all
way.
geeks. They're all geeks. They get it, you know.
How is everyone doing? Johnny boy, how are you? How was your week? Anything good happened to you this week?
No. To put it bluntly, not really. I mean, I did some neat things this week. I finally figured out some really hard code that I was working at work. It's a library that's actually going to be open sourced. I started working on a Raspberry Pi and a Raspberry 6. I'm working with a friend who's got a Jeep Cherokee, and he's going to replace most of the electrical in the Jeep Cherokee with a Raspberry Pi touchscreen automation system. And
cool.
yeah, it's really cool. I'll send you a picture too. This is a really nice Cherokee. So other than that, spent today. I almost didn't make our little podcast here because I spent most of the day with all my electronics all over the place because we're having the wake for my mother next week. And one of the things you always want to do is display pictures.
Right.
So anybody listening who ever goes through this, there is a small little there's a small little slideshow executable from 2004 that will just automatically from a directory show a slideshow on a different slideshow on every monitor you have set up. With variable like lag time and all that between changes on. So, there is that. And then the subsequent going through all the pictures of my mother, which not great. I mean, good, but whatever. So
Right.
Anyway, yeah. I've just it looks like my electronics closet barfed all over my my dining area there. So yeah, it's just there's just like memory chips and wires everywhere. 3 different laptops and everything cross-wired, and I think I picked up the NSA at one point. So that's it for me.
They might be looking for you anyway.
Well, if they caught sight of that, they think it's a an explosive device, but
Don't say that. Not on YouTube.
the only thing that's going to explode is the outlet because I'm drawing too much power from it right now.
Oh, that's true. How are you?
Okay.
John?
Don. Yeah, Don, you're next. Follow that.
Yeah. I've been having a good week as I normally do. I will say that the movie Wicked, which I purchased for my wife on our Amazon account, has been played in my house at least 20 times.
He texted me asking questions about the movie.
Could have been frozen, man.
never-
It could have been frozen.
I have not sat down to watch the whole thing yet I'm abreast of what's doing here. So that's but beside that, I'm getting to play through Armored Core 6, which I cannot praise enough. It's made by the same people as Dark Souls, and so it's like a mech Dark Souls which is punishing, and I'm an old school gamer. I play video games for challenge. I'm just fucking loving, because between every match you can just tweak your mech and okay, let me do and so yeah, that's how I'm doing. How about you, Dave? How's your week been?
Not bad. I don't think I got everything accomplished this week that I wanted to, but I did. I don't know if I'm gonna use the word finished, but I did do another painting. Here it is to show the audience.
It's
There's
better than my
actually
stick figure stuff.
but
that.
Yeah,
it's
no.
funny. That's actually that's not the most up to date picture because I did fix the lighthouse just a little bit. But like, and it's funny because I posted it on my social media, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm done this, but I'm walking away from it for now. I'll live with it for a while and see if I want to make any changes to it. And I've already started another painting, my third painting for 2025. I have an addiction, guys. I need help. Help me.
Are you kidding me? That's very healthy to do. You're having an outlet for your creativity. I mean, geez.
Yes, I
Yeah.
discovered that that the dollar store has a lot of stuff as well. They have canvases and they have brushes and paints. So
Yeah, it's paint and paper, man. It's been around forever, plentiful, and
that's what I'm
you can
saying.
take
Like
a
I can
statins
keep
on it.
going. I don't have. I won't go broke,
Yeah,
and I can keep going. So
yeah, right on.
yeah. So that's the other thing. And I heard an interesting story the other day. So there's a teacher, a lawyer, and a priest on a plane with on a like a school outing thing, and the plane has engine trouble and it's starting to crash, and they realize there's only 3 parachutes on board. And the teacher stands up and says, "Somebody save the children." And the lawyer jumps up and says, "Fuck the children." And the priest whispers, "Is there time?"
Oh, I woo.
There is
The
your
jokes
inappropriate
that
joke
Dave
of the week.
tells are not condoned by the entire cast of Superhero Speak. They do not.
Wait,
Hey,
whoa.
listen,
I would figure Don would be the most offended by that joke.
me, I think you would, Dave, and you told it.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm with Don on this one. Like, I'm a recovering Catholic. I'm an atheist now. You're the one who. I mean, I I would never expected
I don't
that
know.
from you.
I feel Don's more Christian than I am at times. But yeah, you use the word priest. It could be, yeah. It does specifically talk about one religion then when you use that word. Yeah, so other than that, Eagles won first playoff game just a little bit ago.
Must be
Sorry,
nice.
Don.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm just happy about that. And then yeah, that's it. I caught up on some TV shows. Um I guess we'll get Creature Commandos out of the way. I know Don didn't watch it. John, did you catch the finale?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It finished strong. I liked it. I liked it in the end. Still a little bit too much James Gunnish on the music and all that.
Yeah, I mean
Seriously,
it's very James Gunn Suicide Squad. Even though it's Creature Commandos, um not everyone's standing at the end, which you're expecting. Um, one of the main characters gets killed off, and
that
then
was horrible. That was
it
the one that I wanted to survive. I mean, yeah, I don't normally vote for anybody on Suicide Squad to survive, but that was one that I was hoping would survive.
yeah.
And the
And
way
then
I don't know,
okay,
the backstories they gave some of them
they were
came
all
out of left field.
they were pretty much
Yeah.
were all heartbreaking, the backstories. Like like they're
The
all tragic.
weasels, the
Oh my
weasel,
god.
that just like that blew me away. Like we've already seen him in live action, and the joke is always, oh yeah, he ate a lot of children. But I don't know.
No, wasn't true. They still didn't tell you what Weasel is, but they proved
Yep.
he didn't kill the children. It was just like, yeah, and yeah, terrible. But the interesting thing, and yeah, and even the princess, like they're sent to protect her, and then they're told she's gonna like. I felt like that was weird. That whole twist. They're initially she's there they're there to protect her, and then all of a sudden they're sent to assassinate her, and she
It-
ends up dying anyway. Spoilers.
Yeah.
And it was and
It shows that Waller is fallible, but
yeah,
she really should have been more up on what was going on. I mean, I don't know.
yeah.
So
I
are they
felt like-
not Task Force X? Are they
No.
not like they're not at all?
No,
No.
they're the creature commandos because the law stated after the Starro thing that they're not allowed to use humans anymore. So not Task Force X because they're not human.
Yeah, this definitely should have been like Suicide Squad and then like subtitle Creature Commandos.
Yeah, because it was
Waller.
It so
That makes
is,
sense.
but that's one of the funny things I found about this is they established her so much in the DCEU, and if this is the same Waller going forward, which you kind of feel like it is, like they made her, the kind of the counterpoint to, what's his face in the MCU,
Nick
Fury, right? Like contingencies on top of contingencies, investigates, knows everything about everyone, investigates everything, and she gets fooled by Clayface, and it was just like, really, like there was no way for her to know that it was fake, and that's one of the other things I didn't like about it. They kind of like said Clayface is dead.
Well, that was actually brilliant. And no, Clayface, we know he'll come back. He regenerates after a while, right?
Yeah. Well, Nina comes back in the comics too. She does die and comes back.
Does she really? I thought she was dead.
No, she comes back in the comics, so there is a possibility to bring her back as well. But
we
they have
talked about this, John, about comics and death. We talked about this ad nauseum last episode.
Have confirmed that both David Harbour and the voice, I don't know her name, the actress who does the voice of Nina, will be playing both Frankenstein and the Bride in live action. So, like, that's already confirmed. There's
Wait a minute. The voice of Nina is doing the live action as the Bride?
No, not Nina. I'm sorry. The Bride, the actress who did the Bride.
Right. And right. Yeah, Indira Varma. She's been around for a while. She's been in DC stuff before. She was in The Human Target, the TV show a long time ago. She's also been in Game of Thrones.
I mean, I know the
damn,
actress.
I can see her as the Bride. She's amazing and she's gorgeous.
But I'm saying she's done live action before, so she can. It's not like, she's not just a voice actor. We know David Harbour is a good actor too. He can do. Well, Eric. He has a first name in the DCU. He's Eric Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So we both know
Indira
they
Varma
can
is
do
one of
it.
those people I've been following for a while for some reason.
Woman crush of the year.
No, when I saw her in The Human Target, she was pretty damn good. And then I started noticing her in other things. She just kind of, it's one of those faces that she's got a unique look. And it sort of clicks, And then when you start seeing her in other things, it's like, wait, I know who you.
So I thought that was cool. So it wasn't just a cartoon. It is connected to DCU. They're going to continue on. I think they said, I can't remember. I didn't include the article, but I think they said Supergirl is where they're going to appear. So
interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Hey, the Supergirl movie, that's an easy target. You cannot get much worse than the original Supergirl.
The Flash. The Flash 2024.
No, I wouldn't do that. No. I think the Flash is better than the original Supergirl. It made more sense because remember, Supergirl was it? It was an 80s movie made with a 70s vibe with all of the 60s drugs. So it was it was pretty out there.
Okay then. All right. Well, that's Creature Commandos. Obviously it's done now. I think if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's gory, it's violent, it's uh, got sexual content in it, but it's worth a
Not
watch.
for
'cause
children.
not for children, but it's worth a watch because it gets you an idea of James Gunn's thoughts on going forward with the DCU a little bit. So it's kind of interesting, I think, in that aspect. And of course, the other show that I'm sure we all watched this week was Skeleton Crew. There's one more episode, I believe, after this one. I don't know. I think Don, you would be the expert on that. So what
Yeah.
do we think? The kids are home.
Don't ask me. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I didn't get to.
Oh,
I know.
get back
I
for the
know.
creature commandos.
A pox on my name for the next 1,000 years. Yes, I got it. But
So the big spoiler, they make it home, John.
that's fine. I'm good. You know, when I'm not going to be here next week. It's the
Yeah.
it's yeah. So but you know, if you guys don't talk about next week, then I'll watch the whole I'll watch the whole thing. I'll watch the whole thing after the last episode's out. I just haven't had time because we're preparing for stuff. So anyway, go ahead, talk about it. I besides Don's the only one whose opinion I'm really interested in. Don's the opinion on this matters. I want to hear what he thinks.
Well, I mean, I love it. I think it's a good Star Wars show. I mean, it's not burning me up. It's not too great, but I think we need to be okay with that. With that said, I am very interested. I just think it's a great look in something that we've kind of been asking for, or at least a lot of other Star Wars fans, in the way of like scum and villainy, space pirates. You know, this is a Star Wars space pirate show all day.
Yeah.
You know, you guys have mentioned the Goonies and whatnot, but you know, this is like, you know, Star Wars One Piece. You know, they're the Pirates Code. They mentioned the Pirates Code like 20 fucking times.
All right.
You know, and
now you got me interested. One Piece
in the past couple. You know, we haven't seen. Well, we're not into spoilers, I guess. So, you know, it's just interesting though where we were left off. It's funny what Star Wars is kind of making tropes here, and one of them is like blue lightsabers being ignited in front of children in a menacing manner. You know,
I didn't even think of that. I did not even think
that
of that.
that isn't
That's now a
that
new
doesn't
Star
seem
Wars
right.
trope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, all day. So you know, I think it's completely enjoyable, serviceable Star Wars show. I like it.
Yeah, I'm still digging it. I'm really hoping there's a turnaround in the final episode because Jude Law's character I really liked when he first shows up, and then he takes a heel turn, and you're waiting for him to be like, you know, he's going to do something to save the kids. Obviously, we still don't really know what's going on the planet yet either, so I kind of feel like that's going to be the moment, or maybe it's the kids that save him. You know, I don't know. It'll be there's got to be something coming, right? Like he's not just gonna like come steal a bunch of credits and leave. You know, like it's not.
I don't
that
even
simple.
understand why he got those credits. I guess we're getting into spoilers. Like I don't quite understand. You know, he said he was like, "Oh, I'm some Republic emissary." Then what does that mean that he just shows up and the droid takes him to a pile of fucking Old Republic credits and doesn't care that he's like about to mess up these kids and their parents? Like, what the fuck is going on?
That's the thing that, okay, I will say that is the one thing that's bothering me. Like, he shows up on the planet, just says, "Yeah, I'm the emissary." The whole backstory so far has been these planets have been hidden. They're generating these credits for the Old Republic You get this. I don't know what the whole story is, but you get this vibe that like they don't know about the Galactic Civil War. Like these planets were set up and left, and no one has come back since then. So, and the only reason they still are doing what they're doing is because the droids are really in charge. This is my theory.
Well,
I don't know how true
sure.
this is. And
No, I-
so, but the whole thing is, it's like, but if they did so much to hide these planets and have so much security on them, how could he just walk in and go, "Yeah, I'm the emissary," like I'm going to take all the
Yeah.
credit?
Well, see, I'm going to take it one step further. And yeah, because absolutely, I think the droid, whoever's controlling the droids, is in charge. But I think that just think about it. We've got the kids here who left the barrier, this pirate who came in, and then the parents who like broke the law or whatever to send out that communication
Yeah,
beacon outside. Like, I think they're all about to get executed. That's how they keep it a secret. They're like, hey, anyone that's like anything to do with the fucking outside world or getting word out of at and to the outside universe, boom, it's Ixnay. So,
yeah,
and why else would they have the pirate, the kids, and their parents who went against the rules in this fucking
all in one
chamber,
place,
all in
all in
one
one place
place? And like,
at
oh,
the
he's
end of
got a
the episode.
lightsaber. Oh, he just ignited it. He's like threatening these children. Okay, no problem. Like, so that's I'm gonna add on to your theory there and say, yeah, everyone's about to die, or maybe unless they're saved by the Jedi pirate guy who can wield a lightsaber in the Force. Like, who's he all about? Like, I keep waiting for like Balin Skoll to like, who's my new obsession, by the way. As far
Yeah,
as Star Wars goes, he's my new dude. I'm gonna fucking cosplay him at New York Comic Con if we get to go, or if I get to go, which gonna come down to finances, which everything's
yeah,
forsaken world. But anyway, so yeah, I don't, so there you have it. I don't know, it's crazy shit.
yeah,
I like it. I like it. It's perfectly fun and enjoyable and a time well spent.
yeah. And I like that they are keeping you guessing as well, right? It's not.
Yeah.
It's also not one of these shows on Disney Plus that they do all the time where the story gets resolved in uh the the episode before the last, and the last episode just ends up being some kind of wrap up to the whole thing that you don't care about.
Yeah.
A lot of the
Yeah,
Marvel
that's a
shows are like
waste.
that. Yeah. Um so I'm glad, like, yeah, they're keeping you kind of guessing on where this is going all along, but we shall see. Because that's the other thing. The reason that's my theory is that the other planet that they were on at, I don't remember what it was. They're all at something. Um,
Yeah.
that that I feel like the whoever was controlling the robots, something happened. The robots all broke down, so society on that planet broke down because they didn't have
Mhm.
the robots telling them what to do anymore. So, and that's why it was a war planet the way it was. So, yeah. Um, so that's why I kind of feel like this was the planet where they kept going, creating the money. So we shall see. Which also, though, it does lead you to like, ooh, the old Republic was up to some shady stuff.
Oh, of course.
That's the way of all democracies, as we now know. It's
Wow.
based, that every Democrat. I'm sure Lucas kind of based his original ideas on this, but every democratic society in the world has only lasted a maximum of about 250 years. And
Yep.
Well, sure. Well, and his point in general, like the galaxy is just so fast. Like the idea of a centralized government is just generally bad. And Balin Skoll touched on this on the Ahsoka when he explained, like, yeah, these empires, they just whatever. It's just who's up next, which
Mhm.
what entity is going to become the fucking corrupt government next. Like,
Hmm.
so that's
And
why
I'm
he's
with you
not
on Balin
Jedi or
Skoll.
Sith.
You
Yeah.
got to love a Jedi that asks questions,
Right.
questions that people don't want asked. Kind of makes him the good guy, even though he's technically a dark Jedi, right? It's like,
No, I don't know. He just says he's no Jedi and his lightsaber's orange.
He's his own thing. Yeah.
No one ever, his Darth
Just
is
like
not in
Ahsoka.
front of his name. So yeah, believe me, I dig that. And I know this could be trigger somebody, but Gray Jedi, it is a spectrum, and and they're turning it into it, and I like that. It makes more sense. Like
I mean,
Yeah. Yep.
again, the original idea was with Lucas when he created them. It was the Jedi were the light side and the balanced side of the Force, and the dark the Sith are the dark side and the unbalanced side of the Force, and that's the whole bring balance to the Force concept. But yeah, it's come to mean a lot of different things over the, and because the other thing is they've talked about this Lucasfilm, not Lucas himself, is that yeah, we talk about the Jedi and the Sith, and that's what we know in the canon films, but there have to be other sects of people with Jedi powers. Like they explored that in not Ahsoka, and the Acolyte, like with those
Mhm.
witches, they were all Force sensitive, but they weren't Jedi or Sith. They were just
You got the
using
Dathomiri
magic.
witches,
Yeah. So same thing
Jen
with these.
Sari. There's all
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
There's all different sects, all different religions, just like on this planet where, you've got Christians and Jews and Muslims and Hindus and people like John. So, um, so yeah, it's interesting. I don't mind exploring that aspect. Well, that I really want to see how this ends. And I'm kind of curious, those watching this now after the fact, whatever, are you into it? What do you think? What are your theories on how this show might end? And let us know in the comments down below. We really appreciate your feedback. And the only one that's talking to us tonight is Frosty. Hey, Frosty, I don't know where everyone else is, so maybe they're all watching playoff games of their teams.
Yeah,
It is that time of
probably.
year.
Probably. Wild
You
card
don't have
weekend.
anyone to watch.
This happened the opening week of NFL, so NFL rules all. But ultimately, and I know you're transitioning, but I just, for my take on this though, I like it a lot, but I think it's ultimately going to be like a forgettable, part of Star Wars. That's just the way I see it. I don't see a big buzz about it. So,
Yeah,
which I
we'll
mean,
see.
compared to the buzz that the Acolyte got, I'm enjoying, but that doesn't bode well for merchandising and making money.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of hoped Jude Law's character at least would continue on to something else, but we'll see. He definitely will not be in what we're going to talk about in the news, but we shall see. So, if you're enjoying the show and you want to know where you can get more superhero speak and listen to some other great podcasts, here's Dark Dawn to tell you more.
Good evening, plebeians. Darth Dawn here to tell you that Superhero Speak is not just a YouTube show. It is also a website. You will go to superheroespeak.com, where you can find all the social media links to the show, comic reviews by Chris, and most importantly, our merch. You will buy our merch. And while you are on the HoloNet, you must check out the rest of the Geek World All-Star Podcast Network, an influential conglomerate of podcast shows like the Pop Prism Power Podcast, Vault 45, That's So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, Twisted Mind of 8-Bit Ray and the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, the powerful Superhero Speak. Plug in hashtag GW All Stars and you will not be disappointed. And if you do not comply with my request here tonight, I will torture you by making you watch The Acolyte, the one and only season, over and over again. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a double feature to catch. They're showing Blade 2 and The Matrix Reloaded at the drive-in. Now, back to the show.
All right. That
I love
is.
And remember, if we hit 100,000 subscribers, you can see Dark Dawn going to a local grocery store asking if they have Gundark flanks.
That's right.
You know
We
that-
need to keep pushing that every week.
Have them ask if they have frosty Jar Jars too.
Yeah. Frosted Jar
Frosty Jar Jars. Oh, there you go. Also, if you this far in the podcast,
They're
you haven't
Jar
done so yet,
There's
please
no blue milk. Give me blue milk now.
hit that subscribe button, click that bell for notifications so you don't miss us when we go live here every Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. If you enjoy what you're watching, please smash that like button. It really does help with the algorithm. Helps with the algorithm and gets our name out there. My computer is running slow for some reason. And if you're so inclined, go check out our merch store. Link is in the description below. Get yourself a Superhero Speak t-shirt today. They are the best podcast t-shirts on the internet. That's what everyone is saying. At least that's what I've heard. All right. On that note, let's take a real quick commercial break and come back with a little bit of news.
Some podcasts are like this.
I don't wash my hands. I don't really trust people that wash their hands because, well, one, I don't think it does anything.
And some podcasts are like this.
And let's be honest, I'm starting to think it's a scam because I have a very painful sunburn. They had no sunblock in the 1800s, but yet nobody was dying of skin cancer. So what's giving you skin cancer?
Listen, that
the
is a
sunblock or the
phenomenal
sun?
point.
But only one podcast is where you can get in-depth analysis like this.
So like Max is like searching through these fake photos of his old fight for the murder memories, and we get another flashback, and it's the same
It's the same flashback.
fucking
Nothing has changed. No information has
hammer
been added.
punch, cave in skull head explosion.
Nothing about this flashback gives us anything new.
Two rings, grab a rope.
Nothing about this is
Shadowy
important.
figure.
Why are you showing why are you wasting my time showing this fucking flashback that I've already seen?
Was there a quota to show David Carradine's face like 85 times?
It had to have been.
You are now listening to Cult 45.
This is Beat 'em Down.
And I'm Random Randy Savage.
Find us on all your podcatching apps like Podbean or Spotify, and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or just go to www.cult45podcast.com.
Also, check out our YouTube for that sweet, sweet video content.
Cult 45, the only podcast that puts hair on your chest.
Flip the news articles real quick. Since we already discussed Skeleton Crew, I'm going to start with James Mangold's Star Wars movie will not be bogged down by canon that we know because it takes place 25,000 years before A New Hope.
What
So-
is the point of that? Seriously.
I was going to say, what do you think? But there you go, John.
No,
Uh,
I mean 25,000 years, you know, 25,000 years before A New Hope, that probably puts you back on Earth. Because Earth actually exists in the Star Wars universe.
does it?
Yeah, it does. It does. It's just a
Okay.
burned out planet that nobody visits anymore because, you know, humans. But that's where we started from in the Star Wars universe. 25,000 years. Like, there's no official canon that says how long it's been since humans moved on from Earth. But
Just a long time ago.
25,000 years. That's enough to evolve some more dinosaurs.
I don't know. I mean, I'm
That's
sure Don has.
pre-Old Republic for sure.
I was gonna say, I'm sure Don has a take on this. It's dangerous because there's an argument that people only want stories that will revolve around the Skywalkers. I don't believe that's true, personally.
It's not true, but you also don't want to go back to a time where they're putting LED lights up and down a stick so they can, like you want real lightsabers, and they haven't been around that long, I don't think. And
I don't know.
Don,
It's ambiguous.
The Old Republic only lasted for 1,000 years, right? Or is it older?
No, it's older than that. But even before that, there really is a reestablishing Sith Empire, Republic, but when we're talking about 25,000 years, we're talking about like origins of the Jedi. We're talking about lightsabers with battery packs the size of an R2D2, that you've got to lug around with it, so I like it. I like the unencumbered by canon. I like canon, but one reason I like the Old Republic is because it is away from the movies and the TV shows. Right. And I think the major paradigm shift of the Star Wars universe, once transferred from Lucas, was, Disney has a vested interest in shifting it from the Skywalker story to just the story of this infinite universe, basically, of all the planets. Right. You can just fucking make up planets. So one thing I love about Star Wars is you could get very medieval with it, but obviously it's, like the ultimate sci-fi. But again, you can still take that sci-fi and, where the engines are, breaking down and smoking and shit, and they've got to, fix it and go in a cantina, drink blue fucking milk and get some death sticks. You can do whatever the fuck. So I like that. So that's me. I like to see some origin shit. They can explain to us shit that makes Anakin make sense, that makes Revan make sense. Like there's a lot of lore, that we can play with, and I'm obviously here for it as a big Star Wars fucking nerd.
I mean, I'll give it this: 25,000 years, a 25,000 year prequel. At least they don't run the risk of breaking current canon. Like that's the problem you usually run into with prequels, is that you start messing with stuff. Like Star Trek has a major problem with that, with the Enterprise series and Discovery especially, where they broke a lot of canon, and like there's things don't make sense if you go then watch the original series and you're looking at like, well, where's the tech that I saw before and all that. So like with 25,000 years, you can have a foundation effect where everything you did 25,000 years ago, like civilization collapsed, and they like then rediscovered technology again. And you could have stuff that doesn't exist. You could have more advanced stuff then that doesn't exist now in the current, like the New Hope era. And it doesn't matter, because you could say, well, 10,000 years before New Hope, civilization completely collapsed and they had to rediscover all of the technology. You have completely different technology. I mean, at least it gives them a wide field to play with.
Yeah.
One more thing, Dave. I still think Don's idea of them bringing in the Yuuzhan Vong and telling that story would be awesome. But as long as you're doing something different, as long as it's not like 25,000 years ago, a guy named Dave Starr and Mary Walker met. It's like,
No, I mean, here's the thing, right? I like the idea of not being bogged down by canon. However, the problem becomes 25,000 years ago, you're sitting there going, okay, they probably are going to do something like the origin of the Jedi or the origin of the Sith. Like that makes sense. However, then that becomes canon. That becomes this is where the Jedi came from. This is where the Sith came from.
That's if they work with established stuff, like if they do an origin of humans using the Force, or sentient beings using the Force, something like that.
Well,
Then
they can
they're
do
playing with
back when the
something.
Sith were like big bugs, because that's where the Sith come from. They're like this bug race that So yeah, they can do.
Oh, the origin of the holocrons and all that. You mean?
Sorts. I mean, well, there's holocrons are just where there's thousands across thousands of years, but they could really go back to the origins of like the Sith, where where there's an actual Sith race.
Yeah.
It turns out to be the Cylons. Never. Sorry. It's like,
it's already kind of established. Like, if you play the Old Republic MMO and shit, but which is excellent. I don't know. It's hard not. It's just hard for me not to get excited. Obviously, I'd rather Old Republic Revan stuff, but anything you do well and tell a intriguing story,
Yeah.
Star Wars, I'm going to be on it.
And one quick correction, John, you had said Discovery and Brave New Worlds and Enterprise messed up existing canon because they went against canon. However, Enterprise was retconned by itself in the final episode, so it doesn't. Enterprise doesn't count.
Yeah, I know because
terrible.
the cold time war or whatever. And
no, don't you remember the final episode of Enterprise?
Trip was dead.
The whole show was on the holodeck.
Oh,
it was.
Well, it's been a while since.
Because Riker says, "Okay, end simulation," and it closes, and it's like,
"Oh, that's right."
Like,
and it's
is that
like,
how it really happened? It's like, well, that's how most
could
people
be.
believe it happened.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
It was just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I wanted to throw something at my TV.
Wow, Star Trek fans must be pretty docile, because I never that is a bullshit thing to do to a fan base, and I never heard anyone complain about that.
Have you ever heard of a show called St. Elsewhere?
Yeah, but
it's one of the most famous retcons of all time. I mean, it was a very, very popular show back in the day, and the last episode, it turns out the entire show was happening in the imagination of an autistic kid who was looking at a snow globe that had a hospital in it.
Oh,
like it just, and millions of fans went, "What the fuck?"
Or Newhart.
Newhart. That's
all
right.
A dream that Bob Newhart was having from the Bob Newhart show.
Yeah, there's lots of. For us old guys, we've seen these before. We're talking about back before the internet type stuff. But if you look up St. Elsewhere, that's one of the most famous ones. But you're right. Like you don't want any show to do that kind of thing. And that was kind of a weird one for Star Trek. They need better showrunners.
All right. So moving on, a little bit of, I don't know if I would call this news. It's a little bit of a question that's in the air. Will Robert Pattinson's or Matt Reeves' The Batman show up in the DCU? So there have been rumors going around for a while that one of the reasons the movie has been pushed back is they want to try to make his Batman work in the DCU. And then they asked Matt Reeves about this, and he goes, "I don't know. No one has said anything to me about it." And then they asked James Gunn about it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm considering all possibilities."
Well, there's also been rumors of bringing Grant Gustin in, right?
Yes. There's been a lot of rumors.
So I know, but it would be, I don't know.
Dude,
it
well,
might be
here's
cool.
the thing. That's what I'm saying. There's my first question. Do we want Robert Pattinson's Batman in the DCU, or do we want something different? Don, what do you think?
I can't really think of a reason why I wouldn't want it to be part of the DCU, other than we were told that it was going to be separate, but
Yeah.
that was pre, James Gunn taking over the DC universe in the movie.
Right.
So I don't really have any reason against it. I could see the Penguin being popular, making him think, okay, maybe we can make this work. Maybe this can be the Gotham City that is in the new DC universe. Well, you say it's new, but then you connect it to Creature Commandos, who clearly connects to Suicide Squad anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm already skeptical about the DCU, to be completely honest, which I always am. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on it there. Kind of strange.
Yeah.
It might be hard to bring it in because James Gunn is putting a lighter tone on this stuff.
Right.
And that Batman was a little bit a little bit dark. I mean, he could make it work. I mean, he has admitted that he can't have his imprint on everything he needs because he can't write every character or else they're all going to come out like Guardians of the Galaxy. So he's got to, he's got to have other writers, and that would add a nice harmony to Superman's melody,
Okay, I like that analogy. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. In all honesty, like I am torn, like, because again with the Matt Reeves Batman here, they're trying to do a more grounded, realistic Batman as opposed to somebody who interacts with gods, Superman and Wonder Woman and the lot. So
I mean, they got over all the hurdles, right? Remember when they first said, "Oh, Robert Pattinson's going to be Batman," and we're like, "Oh, the fucking guy from Twilight," and he says he's not going to work out for the role. Oh, that son of a bitch! Like, and then the movie came out, and everyone was like, "Oh, okay, I like this." It's even got a spin-off series.
We hear that every time a new Doctor Who is picked. Oh, they're not going to work, and then they work out just fine. Like they did the same thing about the last Batman. I mean, it's
So they're already over that. They're already over that. We're cool. We're here. Maybe they just take advantage of it and
say,
fuck it. We got our Batman.
Yeah, I mean, because the other thing Gunn said was they also want to still be free to explore Elseworlds stories, and it's like, yeah, but I think that's one of the things that's going to hurt the DCU if they don't put a lid on that for a little while, because it confuses people. It really does. Like, I know as much as nerds out there are going to scream like, no, I get it. It's a different universe, blah, blah. Like, yeah, but the normies don't get it. Like, if you want to take
you got to give us a universe to be invested in. You got to give us one world continuity story with consequences and whatnot, which again, with comic book superheroes being the subject matter is already hard enough. So that's why I think I get lost so much in the multiverse and the Elseworld. Like I want this kind of living, breathing world where if something does happen, it does actually affect it. But,
Agreed.
But that could be seen as barriers to entry too. So
right. And I also think people like seeing their characters interact with other characters. So if you leave the Batman in his own world, you're like, okay, you'll get the Bat family, maybe, but you'll never get to see him interact with a Superman or Green Lantern or any of those characters because he's in a contained world. So we'll see, and then you can have the
which totally makes sense to me, by the way. Like, I'm not a Batman fan, so I can't really speak to it. But to me, like, Batman would be a better character if they didn't include him, like, in the Justice League. If he really was just like, oh, as the Batman, he's doing his thing in Gotham. It's kind of crazy and all that, but hey,
they need him as a tactician, though. the Justice League falls apart without him, really.
Yeah, but that's
I can't
Keeping
argue
them
that.
honest and stuff. Yeah.
it is. But I
Plus
mean,
the
that's also a
funding.
more that's more modern isn't even the right word, but recent decades development of the Justice League where he had to make sense in there, right? So he had to be the de facto leader who makes the plans, right? So he had to be the smartest guy in the room. Um, Even though there's been an argument that Superman has super intelligence, so he should be able to see all the avenues just as well as Batman. But they've kind of abandoned that aspect of Superman in modern years as well. So yeah, I get what you're saying, Don. It's also where you're now in the world where there are all these Batman fans that say he can beat anyone with prep time, and let's be honest, no, he can't. Yeah, he can have all the prep time in the world he wants, but he won't defeat the powerful John O'Grady. It would never happen.
Nice.
All right. And the last little bit of news we have should make some people out there excited. It looks like, not confirmed, Elizabeth Olsen, better known as Wanda Maximoff in the MCU, will be returning in Doomsday. There was a listing in one of the trade magazines about the movie, and it was the cast was listed, and she was listed in the cast. So, and this is how we found out that Chris Evans was first coming back as well. So she hasn't come out and said anything. Marvel hasn't come out and said anything, but I think she's coming back. I honestly do. So I don't know. What do you guys think? You think she's coming back? You think this is just rumors?
Yeah, it's
Do you want her
possible she'll
back?
come back. Yeah,
Do you?
I want her back. She needs to be redeemed.
Yes, that's the big thing in my mind too. Like she needs a redemption arc. You cannot leave her dead the way she went out. Don, you look like you have a dissenting opinion.
You look like you ate a lemon, Don.
Well, I have a dissenting. I have a dissenting opinion when it comes to the she needs to be redeemed. Is she going to come back? Yeah, we're in the multiverse. It'll get pop. Don't get me wrong, Elizabeth Olsen is just awesome looking as the Scarlet Witch. So why not? But again, it's the multiverse thing, which they've ingrained her with, right? Because through all multiverses, she is the same. If I'm remembering their explanation correctly, she needs to be redeemed. Well, I don't think they're gonna do that because I feel that, and this is maybe far off take here, but I feel that at some point they're going to do her No More Mutants, House of M shit, where she has a crazy mental breakdown and says no more mutants, and the mutant population goes from millions down to about 250, I think. And she was demonized and still kind of is in the comic books, by mutants to this day. So for those that are Wanda fans, I'm with you. I like the character, I like the actress, I like everything they've done, but she's not exactly a character that's, I don't know, just popular amongst the characters and mutants. Like she's done some shit because she's a reality warper, right? Like there's no reality warpers in the Marvel universe where people are like, hey, I'm glad you exist. Like, no, everyone's like, oh, fuck this person, Franklin Richard, holy shit. Like his own father, like when Franklin was losing his mutant powers or his powers, like the smartest man ever, Reed Richards, was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to help. Like he found out that he wasn't going to help his son because he didn't want his son to be a fucking reality warper because that shit's crazy. Like, so, I get what the fans are saying. They want to see the redemption. That's not really the brand of the character, at least in the comics. So, but that doesn't mean much, to be completely honest, when it comes to the movie universe.
what does Colossus think of Wanda in the comics? I wonder.
Well, he actually survived the whole no more mutants thing,
Right.
Colossus is I don't know, he's wants to kill himself or something. That seems to be his character arc. But and then of course Kitty Pryde, right? Like right after House of M and shit, they did the Astonishing X-Men or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then him and Kitty Pryde like broke up for good. But then she like got back with him, asked Colossus to marry her, and then they're at the fucking altar. And she like, as he's going to put the ring on her finger, she phases through, and like she rejects him, leaves him at the altar. I'm so pissed off at her for doing that. But then Gambit and Rogue said, "Hey, we're at a wedding. What do we do? Hey, let's get married. We should get married." And that's how Rogue and Gambit got married. I don't know why I'm here. You talked about Colossus, and that somehow just threw me out of the multiverse. I'm sorry.
All right, John and I are going to take a nap. You just talk about the X-Men for like a half hour.
Yeah.
Works for me.
No, we've got a Superman comic to talk about.
Oh, we do. All right. Well, that means that I think we need to take one more quick commercial break and come back with our look at Absolute Superman #1.
This is so wizard, Annie.
Broadcasting very fast and very dangerous from the planet Malastare. You are listening to So Wizard.
You're thinking people gonna die?
The only podcast to make the Kessel run in under 12 parsecs.
No one to stop us this time.
I am your host, Joey DiCarlo, and with me, my co-hosts, the queen of all nerds, Aubrey Litchfield, and the expert, Mr. Marquis, Marcellus Ray. You are listening to So Wizard Podcast, where three friends review movies, TV, and sometimes more, podcasting weekly on the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. Marcellus Reagans, please tell the listeners where they can find more So Wizard Podcast.
Everybody, you can head on over to SoWizardPodcast.com, and there you're going to find a brand new episode every week. Find So Wizard on all podcasting streaming platforms, such as iTunes, Spotify, Good Pods, and pretty much wherever you can find a podcast. Check out our YouTube page, where new content is being uploaded regularly. We also have a Patreon page. For as little as $1 a month, you can receive exclusive bonus content while you're supporting the show.
No, I didn't. First of all, a podcast takes a lot of work, okay? You have to organize the guests, you have to do a Google Calendar, and then you build a following. It takes a long time, and I've been working on it for a while.
No, I just realized.
Is that Amanda Stenberg in that clip?
I don't know. I don't know what movie that is that's from. But I realized that AI version of Joey looks a little bit like Joe Rogan, which is kind of scary. Yeah. All right. So we all had a chance to read at least the first issue of Absolute Superman. And a little bit of complaint. Reasoning why it was just issue 1 is because I have DC Infinite, and you're supposed to be able to read comics on there, and they have the first issue on all of them under the base subscription, which is what I have. But if you want to read any more of the issues on there, you have to pay for an additional tier. Screw you, DC. And I don't feel like running out and buying them. So I was able to read the first issue. So we can talk about
the economics of comics is what's wrong with it. It's the reason why I don't buy them. I don't have a weekly pool. They shouldn't have to pay $4 for a physical issue. And if I have the app for DC or Marvel, like I get it. I can't get all the newest, freshest shit. I gotta wait, whatever, then I'll get it. But them like, oh hey, people actually like this Absolute stuff. Hey, well, that's come on. I don't know what goes into like all the exact accounting of what goes into making a comic, but it can't be this fucking bad. It's
Late stage
paper.
capitalism, and also Warner has a lot of bills to pay. Like,
Yeah,
it's
well,
no,
that's true,
it's
too.
Well, it ain't just DC though. Marvel charges $5 a comic now. I don't know how their app works.
well,
But
look,
the
look,
same
There's
kind of
well,
look
Marvel's
at the
it has to be at least 6 months old to be able to read it on there.
yeah,
I'm good
and
with
look,
that.
look at the way things are with comics right now. They make billions of dollars as movies and such. Like they're trying to capitalize on that. But the problem is that the more you try to capitalize that, the more brakes you're going to put on it, and you wind up making less money and maybe pushing people off and maybe causing another collapse of the comic industry again. Because, like Don said, nobody can know. When in the 90s it was pretty bad, and I had a list, a poll list, and I'd go in every other week and it was over $100,
Yeah.
and that was a lot, and I wasn't getting a lot for that, and it only got worse until the collapse. And they're going to cause another one. They're literally limiting their audience.
It's also issues like I don't know what the current cycle is like, but for a while they were putting out Amazing Spider-Man 3 times a month. It's just like, A, that's got to be killer on writers and artists to try to
Yeah.
keep up with storylines, and B, like it used to be okay, yeah, fine. You had Amazing, Spectacular, and Web of, let's say that was the 80s and the 90s, and so they would circulate throughout the month. Like 1 week it was one, and then there was a week off, I think, for a while from Spider-Man until Spider-Man came out. And they were 4 separate storylines, 3 or 4 separate storylines. This is like, no, they're like pushing, and it's like, and it's all one title, and it's like, why are you doing that? Like,
And
because people can't afford $15 a month to keep up with Spider-Man. Like,
And there's all these different pressures. Like people, we are the TikTok nation right now. Attention spans of kids are growing shorter, which means they're not going to wait. They're like a month for a kid these days is like they're not going to remember that they even read a comic book about Superman, let alone remember to get issue number 2 when it comes out. And then on top of that, they don't, all of the economic pressures. People don't have the money anymore to spend that much on comics. And then you add to that, all of the late stage economic crap of Warner trying to feed their board members and their stockholders, right? So they're going to do whatever they can to drag as much money out of their fan base as possible. So it's just literally the worst of every single metric you can think of.
Yeah, and I'm sure like the push to do multiple books on a title a month is a push to get trades out faster.
In a world where writers and artists are very underpaid right now.
Yeah. So, all right, let's stop bitching about the industry for a minute and bitch about and talk about a comic book. Absolute Superman #1. Let's be fair and let's quickly go around and do a non-spoiler. What did you think of the issue? And John, you can go first.
Well, I read the first 3 issues.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting. It's a new take. So like, I like the way it's going. It's still going to be hard on people because it's a new take. But there's some nice commentary here, like the first page of issue number 2, where they're going after Lois Lane for not writing her report using AI. And the same thing with the same thing on Krypton with Kal-El. in school, not writing his report by asking AI to write it for him. And I'm like thinking, oh yeah, that's where we're headed. So the writers on this are, I like the way they're writing this. But his new powers and everything are interesting, and they're really trying to. I think basically they're still trying to make sense of the. Kal-El is from a very highly advanced scientific society, and yet not starfaring at all. And their single planet blowing up took out the entire race. And they've kind of made sense of it with the they're really xenophobic and really set in their ways, and they're not
again, I
accepting
only
any
read
new ideas.
I only read the first issue, so
Yeah, I mean,
you're going
it
way
gets better.
past
The first issue is good, and I think it gets better as it goes. But
All right.
I mean,
Well,
his new powers are interesting with the artificial intelligence suit. and all
Don,
that.
what did you think?
I thought it was a decent enough comic. I find that mostly my complaints are due to I'm just kind of seeing a trend, at least between the two series that we have read so far in this new Absolute Era, that I'm not quite understanding why they're doing that. I will join John's praise of the social commentary of the comic, as he's being lectured that, like, hey, I gotta save the humans, I gotta make them safe. And it's like, these are humans. There's religious extremists. There's there's nuclear weaponry. Like, they are never safe.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't. Are we spoilering, or you just want initial?
I said initial, but I don't.
Okay, great. No, and that's fine. So I mean, yeah, definitely a different take on Superman. Some of which works, but I do question some of the new aspects of it, again, particularly because they seem to be doing a trend here. There are a lot of similarities between the Absolute Batman and the Absolute Superman. I will say overall, I think Absolute Batman was done a little bit better. I think I enjoyed that a little bit more. But I do think that the Absolute Superman, it is enjoyable. I thought it was well thought out. I thought the writing was pretty decent. Again, do I agree with some of the directions? I'm not quite sure yet, and I'll talk about that more in spoilers.
I mean, we've got Brainiac running part of the world at least.
Okay, we're in spoilers now.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, spoiler boy.
Oh please, Brainiac was always going to be in movie.
I don't know. It's a good thing Hassan's not watching because he'll call me out for this, but I didn't care for it. I really didn't like this book at all.
Wow.
At first I was digging some of the social commentary on Krypton a little bit, and then we get to Earth and we get Superman, and I'm just like, nah, this isn't Superman. Like, and that's.
I said it was going to be a hard one.
I guess we'll get. I don't want to give too much away, but it's just like, I don't know. I didn't like the direction they went with it. We can. Okay, that's okay. So we
need to talk about spoilers in order to be able
right. So we got one thumbs up, I think, one thumb in the middle, and one thumb down. So
and two thumbs up
we're running the gambit here. So if you don't want to be spoiled and you haven't read the book, you want to read the book and come back. If you've read the book and you don't, or you just don't care about spoilers, here we go. I will just start off, and here's the thing, and I'm like, the whole time I'm doing this, I'm thinking about what Kassan would be like. Oh, wait, you're okay with them changing this, but not this. With Absolute Batman, I felt like this was a completely new take on the character, and I didn't even approach the comic like, this isn't Batman, this is a different character who happens to be like Batman. But at the end of the day, I felt like the core was still the same character, right? Like, okay, so Martha was still alive, which does change the dynamic, and he's poor, but I felt like it still was Bruce Wayne Batman at the end of the issue. And the interesting thing too is they actually explained in the newest issue, which is kind of like, if I could buy them the individual issues digitally, I would do that because I do want to continue reading it, and I might just have to go and buy the book at the comic
You
book
could do
store.
it on Amazon.
Oh, you can buy them on Amazon? Maybe I'll
On
do that.
Amazon only digitally. Like I can't find the like every time I buy a digital, I want the actual hard copy too, but I can't find the hard copy of number one. I think
Oh, okay.
Amazon's only allowed to have the
issue
hard copy for a few.
Well,
for
they
a few weeks.
reprinted it like 3 times, I think someone said. But long story short, in issue 4, which just came out, they explain why he chooses the bat, and it is different from the canon that we know. And I'm kind of curious. I'm going to read that. But that being said, like that was they still kind of, from what the impression I got, it still felt like the core was Batman and Bruce Wayne. This, like, no, this doesn't feel like Superman at all. There's no Clark
I'm
Kent.
very surprised by that.
There's no Clark Kent. He's just Kal-El on the planet, running around with. And now the big difference from original canon, the S is his family crest, and all the families have their own crest, and they are part of Jor-El is part of the Science Guild on Krypton in the original show, original storyline, but all the scientists have their family crest, and that's why he wears the S. Now it's a caste system on Krypton, and they're in the worker class, and that's the symbol of the worker class. So
I mean, that was kind of introduced with Man of Steel too, right? Like there were castes. There was military caste, science caste.
Well, yeah, but his symbol was specifically for the
Yeah,
House of L.
For the House of L.
It's a progression of that.
But yeah. Interesting commentary there, though, because, you know, and I'm sorry if I'm bleeding in, because I read the first 2 issues.
Go ahead.
So I'm sorry if it bleeds, but the thing that they revealed, though, is that both Laura and Jor-El should have been in the scientific.
Yes, that's in the
cast.
first issue. They explained that. Yeah.
But they speak out against.
Yes.
Like Laura says, hey, we should be interplanetary. And, you know, Jor-El was doing surveys on the Sunstone or something like that. And yeah, they put them in a whole nother worker caste because, you know, just because they spoke out. So I thought that was interesting. But Dave, the reason why I was very surprised that you said that this didn't seem like Superman. I guess the thing that won me over is, and again, this could be issue 2, where we learned that basically Superman, these Brazilian miners that were doing this super dangerous job, but it was the only thing they could do to help their family. So they're doing this diamond mining.
Yeah, that's
they
issue
even
1.
Okay, and so there's asbestos and shit down in the mine. We're like, okay, well, fuck it, you know, we got to go. But then the asbestos is gone and the mining is already done. So Superman is just going around doing miners' work for them. So he's not doing these large displays of heroism. He's really doing some nitty-gritty good shit. And that, to me, because I was thinking a lot like you too. He's a lot more brooding and things like that.
I feel like Zack Snyder wrote this.
Wow. Okay. All right. Get
That's,
that.
The fact that you already brought it up, where they say in the first issue, oh, well, you know, maybe we should just forget about these people. The suit's talking to him. Oh, maybe you should forget about these people because they've got these problems and these problems on this planet. And he's like, yeah, maybe you're right. That's straight out of fucking Man of Steel. This is Zack Snyder's Superman.
He's got a little bit of an edge to him. I mean, listen, and you know, also, oh great, my Bucks are playing with our quarterback nonetheless. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the whole suit thing is throwing me off too, which is one of my complaints. Like this new, and again, I didn't read the Wonder Woman or the but like the suits in this Absolute era seem to be a big thing. Like the Batman like reminded us of Spawn. The Superman nanotech suit that talks to him reminds me very much of Iron Man. And so on top of being a Kryptonian, which they haven't fully explained yet because he's not charged right now, so he can charge himself, and he's not charged right now. But definitely the suit being like this nanotech thing, like that, I'm just starting to see a pattern with these Absolute. Like the super suit has changed and very, very important. And also one thing that I was kind of like I had to note was that apparently Kylo Ren and Superman, they go to the same hairdresser. You don't believe me? Here we go. So there's Kylo Ren, and that's the cover of issue 2. But there is Superman with his exact same haircut. So yeah. Oh, how do I get back out of here? I'm sorry.
Just click on it again.
Okay. All right. Hide. So you know, I get it. It's not perfect, but you know, I did think they did I don't know, that mining thing. It really kind of showed me the essence of him. But it is weird because like he didn't grow up on Krypton, but yeah, he was like a teenager on Krypton.
I was going to say that's the other issue, or the other major change is that he doesn't come to Earth as a baby. He comes, he's like a teenager.
As an adolescent, pretty much.
Yeah. So like
we've already seen Crypto, which we talked a lot about last week.
Yeah, we all love Crypto. I'm sorry, he's the best.
Crypto's best dog.
What was I going to say? But here's a question. Since you guys read it, further than I did, one of the other things that was really bothering me, and it's so stupid, is he didn't have a cape, even though on the issue 1 cover he's got this big flowing cape coming out.
He has a cape. It's the dust. It's the AI part of the suit. It's made up of dust, and the dust forms a cape
like red
it.
particles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and they like heal. It like heals. Yeah, I know you're not gonna like this anymore because it like heals.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
shit.
sure.
Like I'm telling you, the super suits in this new Absolute are off the chain.
So that's what I'm trying to understand. Does he get like some of his powers from the suit? It's not just him.
I mean, they mentioned him being solar charged, but
yeah,
definitely some of the shit is the suit. It's a combination. Yeah, because he's vulnerable. You know, right now. They didn't explain why he's vulnerable. Like, but yeah, it's kind of both. I don't know. Yeah, I get it. That's yeah.
Look,
I didn't think that would be a popular aspect of this book.
It's it's an interesting take on it. His powers are still mostly the same, and I mean, I'm not turned off by it, not yet anyway.
The other thing, and Dave, I wonder if you'll mention this, and I guess I'm going for it, is, and this is another thing they did exact in Batman. So Alfred and Absolute Batman went from Alfred the Butler to Alfred in this one, Lois Lane is not a reporter. She's some military chick for this Lazarus. Lazarus is life. Lazarus is truth. Like Lazarus, this is whatever this evil organization, or I don't know, whatever, these peacemakers.
Yeah, the Lazarus
right?
pits,
all
and
the
Brainiac,
peacemakers
that's a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the weird thing too, right? Yeah, it's the Lazarus organization, and they're all they're
peacemakers. Yeah,
peacemakers. Are all the cops are dressed like Peacemaker with the toilet bowl helmets on?
Yeah,
like,
that is a weird choice.
It's a very weird choice.
Like I said, the Batman Absolute one works better for me, but I don't hate this. But it's a take. It's a take.
And that's the weird thing. And because you've read further, John, maybe you can elaborate, but that's also weird that Lois is hunting him down and captures him at the end, and I really hate it that she handcuffs him and goes, he's in custody, and that's how it ends, basically. And I'm like, you can't
That goes about as
handcuff
well as you'd
Superman.
think with a Superman.
I would say that is kind of funny, actually. Yeah.
But is there a developing relationship there, or is she just the person hunting him down?
Well,
she's the person that just handcuffed herself to someone that can fucking fly.
Right.
Now the super suit's trying to get him uncuffed, but can't. So it is like an advanced handcuffed. But he still, nonetheless, flies the fuck off. And all the while, like, they're not like, oh, he's got Lois Lane, don't fire at him. They're like, fire at him. And so they're just trying to.
They're peacemakers, so.
Yeah. And so he is ending up having to fucking save her life, and she's still trying to stop him. So it's kind of funny because he's like, at one point, he's like, I'm just saving your life. What? And she's still trying to like apprehend him and negotiate his,
and I forget,
capture.
Yeah, and Don, I think you'll like this. I forget if this is in number 3, but they ask her to do a report on Superman.
Yeah, that is a number 2. She hates doing her own reports, but she's like,
she hates doing her own reports, but
but
the thing is, again, it's all left up to the AI, was it the Brainiac AI to write the report. She just has to answer questions, and she's like, no, I want to write this one by hand.
Yeah,
I mean, the commentary is like, these guys, it blows my mind that science fiction writers are always telling us what we have to worry about, and we never listen.
Well, they've been telling us for a long time to worry about AI.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, again, you might know the answer, John, I don't know. Because obviously, traditionally, Brainiac is from Krypton, and
Haven't
you said,
seen it yet. Don't know.
Oh, okay, because that's the whole thing. Because you already mentioned that Kal-El got in trouble for not using AI to write a report at school, so it makes me feel like it's the same AI. It's they're both Brainiac, so, but maybe not. We'll see.
I don't know. This one might possibly have been developed on Earth. I don't know. There's nothing to say whether Brainiac is from Krypton or not yet.
Right. All right. So, I mean, and that's the thing, because since I would have to like pay extra to keep reading it right now, I'm not going to continue with Superman. I will.
That blows my mind.
I will hunt down the other Batman books, and but yeah, I'm. Yeah, like he's got to be raised by the Kents. He's got to have the Midwestern values. Like that's Superman to me. This idea that he's just this rogue Kryptonian running around, doing good. It's like, nah, that doesn't work for me. So it's just weird. Weird.
I mean, we are seeing more of a development on the Krypton side of things because, they keep jumping between Krypton, like before it was destroyed, he's still living there. And their plan is not to just send him. Like, they're like, oh, we're going to get all the people we love and go. So, like, shit is obviously going to go down that makes that whole thing go awry. So,
true.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, okay. But that's the other thing too, right? Because this is one of my issues with Man of Steel is they made it where it was like, I can't remember the term I used before, but it's like Krypton alien dad good, Earth dad bad. Like that was the basic idea in that movie where, Jonathan Kent was the one that said, oh, maybe you should have let the kids die. And, oh, don't reveal your powers ever to anyone. In fact, let me die in a hurricane because, or tornado, because God forbid anyone sees you use your powers. And then, he finds a hologram of Alien Dad, and he tells him, oh, no, you're the light to save the Earth and all this stuff. And it was like, that's never been the canon for Superman. And Zack Snyder was like, fuck all that. And this is the same. I feel like this is the same thing. I mean, so far, and I'm going to guess that There is no Kents at all in this. Like they show the Kent farm destroyed at the end of the first issue.
Martha is still alive, but she's in a hospital, and I think she's on her last. She's like in hospice, I think.
But like, did they raise him at all, or is that like?
If they did, he was from like teenage years on up, which must have been fun.
And it wasn't long because this is a younger looking Superman. I'm going to say he's in his 20s. You know, he's not in his 30s, like where they normally start Superman at. You know, so yeah, this is interesting. We'll leave it at that. So I don't know, John. Let's wrap this up. We don't need to beat a dead horse. So let's give it a score though. 1 out of 10 capes or dust mites. I don't know.
They call it dust. I don't know. They're nanites.
And final thoughts. John, you can go first.
I don't know. I think it's worth checking out. I'll give it a 7.5. I think it's worth checking out, and I might rate it higher the longer it goes on. You know, right? I like the commentary, and you know, I'm the only reason I'm digging at some points is probably because it's different, therefore evil and must be destroyed. You know, like a lot of people are like, "Hey, don't touch not my Superman." So, you know, but I'd say you should give it a try. You know, pick up the first 3 issues. I think that should be enough to give you an idea whether you're going to hate it from then on or what.
All right, Don.
I would give it a 6 capes out of 10. I feel that it shows you a lot about Superman that you like, as far as him helping the little guy and being very interested in helping to save humans and protect them. The hardest thing for me to resolve is the suit. I feel Superman already comes with a plethora of abilities and things to then slap on, you know, as some sort of nanobot AI suit that can heal people and try and free you from handcuffs. I'm just, it just loses me a little bit there. And again, this isn't the comics' fault, but again, the Lois Lane being some sort of military. Yes, I understand in the comics that her father is military, so there is reason to say that she could do that. But I don't know. I'm not, you know, I don't know, the Alfred military guy, Lois Lane military guy. That's just rubbing me the wrong way.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I felt like they just repeated the same idea basically, and it was like, yeah, I mean, it works with Alfred because they have retconned him to be like MI6, and he helped train Bruce, and that works. I think people accept that. I don't feel like they've ever done that with Lois ever in any incarnation. So then all of a sudden now she's the military guy. Like it would have worked if it was her dad that captured him and then she somehow pleads the case. Like I would have taken that and been like, oh, okay. And that's how the relationship starts. But nah, let's trample on Superman. All right. So I'm gonna follow up with John's comment. This book is very different, therefore it's evil and must be destroyed.
If you want it in Latin, that's called damnat quad non intellegunt.
And I'm gonna give it 5 capes. Like it's just there. It's different. It's not Superman. To me, it's not Superman. It's a completely different character who's wearing an S on his chest. So yeah. So there you have it. If you go like our thoughts, let us know down below. If you don't like what we're saying, let us know. If you haven't checked the books out, go check them out and come back and say, hey, you were right, you were wrong, whatever. We're cool with that because we're nice guys. All right, let's bring this one in for a landing, and go around the room and tell me, did you learn anything this week on the podcast, or do you have a recommendation? And Don, you can go first.
Well, I learned this week on the podcast that you shouldn't do anything opposed to the NFL, at least week 1 and week 1 of the playoffs, because that has a lot of people indisposed. So
yeah,
there you go. We'll put that one down in the notebook.
So let's make sure we broadcast during the Super Bowl next time. That's
right, which we're slated to do. So that'll be fun.
My team played and they won, but of course it was before we went on air, so it doesn't affect me.
Right.
Noise.
Recommendations. Again, I'll recommend Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. It's a great game. It's a great challenge. I also recommend that you subscribe to the channel here. Again, we get to 100K, and I'll do some ridiculousness. But also, I think that would do a pretty good thing to help us get to New York Comic Con this year. All three of us, because again, I intend to do some cosplay out there. So, and I'll have my bearings about me. So,
yes,
now
you know where everything is in New York. You're great. You're good.
Of course, now I'm introducing cosplay into the mix, so I don't know how that's going to look like with me flying into LaGuardia and whatnot, but I'll figure it out. Actually, the only thing that's going to suck is the lightsaber. That's the thing that it looks like the cosplay for Balin Skull isn't too bad, but the lightsaber may be the challenge. Maybe I'll just save enough to buy one there, but then I still need to get it home. So there we are.
All right, John.
I got nothing really. Still dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
But I will say, the new season of anime has started, and I find some solace in that. There's a lot of isekai anime coming out. So I'll have better recommendations not next week because I won't be here, but in 2 weeks from now. But there is one anime that had a 3rd season last season, and that's what was oh my god, I just blanked. I completely blanked. Sorry, I've been thinking of
while you're looking at that, let me just say I continue to be baffled by the term of this season of anime. Like,
anime is like they make, like the 80s. Anime is a gateway to buying the manga or the light novels. So they'll put out as whole. There's 4 seasons of anime every year, and they put out each season just but most of them will only get 1 season of a certain show, and they're hoping that you'll buy the manga after that. But if they're good, then they get multiple seasons. Like, as I was trying to say, Blue Exorcist, which has been around for a while, and I'm rewatching the 1st and 2nd season now, so I can watch the 3rd season, and you really should check it out. It holds up. Even though the 1st season came out years and years ago, it is really, really well done. And the storyline is really cool. So try Blue Exorcist if you haven't. It's worth it.
All right. I learned this week that Don doesn't understand the concept of television seasons. And
they're different things. The anime seasons are different from television series. But,
of course. I actually have a recommendation this week. Jason Reitman had a movie that came out last year that I finally watched last night with my girlfriend. Saturday night. It's the fictional, somewhat true, somewhat fictional story of the 90 minutes leading up to the first episode of Saturday Night Live, and it's a lot of fun. It's interesting. Then I think I recommend you watch the movie and then go and read articles that tell you like what parts were true and what parts weren't true, because most of it's true, but some of the things that happen in the movie are stories from Saturday Night Live's 50 years of being on the air, and they just kind of put them in different spots. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh well, this happened, the third year the show was on the air, but it's a cool story, so we'll throw it into this show, into this movie. It's Jason Reitman, so it's going to be good, and yeah, I highly enjoyed it. It was funny because like there are a couple big names in it. Everyone's playing somebody else that's famous, which is interesting. J.K. Simmons is in it. I didn't realize he was in the movie. I don't remember seeing him he's not in the trailer. I don't remember seeing him listed in the cast and things that I read. And he plays Milton Berle, which was really interesting and a little surreal. So I kind of think, and it worked. So yeah, it was a fun little movie. So yeah, I also recommend you go to superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast every week. Links to all our social media at the top of the page. Comic book reviews and so much more. I'm working on revamping the website, but yeah, like go check it out. Because you can find other great things there. I also recommend, if you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button, click that bell for notifications so you don't miss us when we go live here on Sunday nights. Also, if you like what we're doing, smash that like button. It really does help with the algorithm, helps get the show out there even more, and so people can find us. And if you're so inclined and you have a little bit of extra money, I know it's tough, especially right after the holidays, but go check out our merch store. Link is in the description below. Get yourself a Superhero Speak t-shirt today. I'm telling you, they drive the women wild. My girlfriend can't keep her hands off of me when I wear one of these things. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And yeah, that is it. So, on behalf of myself and my co-hosts John and Don, thanks for watching, and don't let your cape get caught in the door. See you next week.
Superhero speak.